Hello and good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Dr. Mogire. This is the Breakthrough Challenge, and today is day 38. We've been at this for 38 days, just 2 more days before we clock 40. And remember, it is the 90-day Breakthrough Challenge, so we will be here for 90 days. If you have been on the presentations or seen the videos on our YouTube channel, you know that this week we've been speaking about clarity. And so today we will spend most of the presentation just reviewing some of the key concepts we have picked and seeing how to apply them. And because I'm coaching a group on Zoom, unfortunately, I won't be able to reach out to Facebook Live. Perhaps you still would be able to benefit if you're on Facebook or you're seeing this video after the session. So I'm going to engage you, Brenny, Elena, James, Ndungi, Wanjiru, and of course, Diva, now that you've joined us, just to do a review and see where we are. And I'm going to start off with a very simple question. And because this is interactive, I would strongly recommend that you try and be as quick as possible, quick in terms of your response, but also quick in terms of unmuting your microphone. What are the three most practical and specific practical ideas you have picked this week from the content that we covered, from the power of clarity, the wheels of clarity, the pathway to clarity, your ticket to clarity, the price of clarity, and the 7 realities of clarity that we covered? So let's start there. What are the practical things? Because I would like you to have that opportunity to reflect, but also to hear what other people have picked, so that we can generate together, like, what are the 7 most practical and powerful ideas we've picked together that you can apply, you can distill, because we have shared the content. At the end of the day, what matters is not the beauty of the content. It's not the depth or the richness of the content. It is how it applies to my life and how it applies to your life on a day-to-day basis. Because we don't know which day is going to turn the wheel for us and be massively significant and change everything. We don't know. Sometimes it's the mundane days that do it. So what are the top 3 practical ideas that resonated with you the most? Let's start there, and then we can now speak about how to apply. And I'm going to start off by calling James. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for James. James, what are your top 3 from this week on clarity?
I think the first one would be the fact that clarity is a habit to build, and that there are several things that you can do to make sure that it's a habit that you're building consistently. For example, by every time before you perform a task, there is the question of what is your intention, making sure that you know exactly what you're going to get out of what you're doing. The next one would have been on the question of the pathway to clarity, the question of maturity. In light of my current circumstances and my future aspirations, what is the best use of my time, energy, and attention? I think that was one of the most practical things I picked. Every now and then, I stop and ask myself, what is the best way I can utilize my limited resources for different and most likely better results? I think those are the 2 that I can share at the moment. If I get the other one, I'll text.
Okay. Thank you very much. I love how you phrase them. James, you realize you are so fluent when you are so eloquent when you communicate. That's a gift that you should hopefully be able to take more advantage of. I like how you phrase your things when you speak. So yes, clarity is a habit, and it's very easy to know whether something is a habit or not. Remember what we said yesterday, that for you to know that something has become a habit, like a permanent habit, it's a very simple test. Can your body do this thing almost better than your brain can? Can your body do this thing without your brain necessarily being involved? And 2 examples I gave yesterday, which are very easy illustration, is number 1, how easily you snooze. You don't need your brain to snooze. In fact, your brain is not even there when you're snoozing, right? it's a habit, because we end up doing it so many times. When you're snoozing, your body reaches for that phone or the alarm, and it snaps it off really quickly. That's a very easy test. The other habit is, for example, scrolling on the phone or reaching for the phone or logging onto the internet, especially social media. It's so habitual. It's so easy to do. So for clarity to become as natural, for clarity to become a prerequisite for you to start studying, or for you to start writing, for you to start working, or for you to start seeing plans, it has to be deliberate initially, so that eventually then it becomes that ringing subconscious question: what am I trying to do here? What is the best use of this opportunity I have right now? So I really love that, and I think it's very practical. Clarity is a habit, and you can habituate yourself to make clarity one of the essentials, the prerequisites for you to do anything that you need to do. The other one was maturity. Oh, that question is, I think that question by itself is worth the value of the whole week. In light of my past experiences, my current circumstances, and my future aspirations, what is the wisest thing to do? Or what is the best use of my resources? What's the best use of my energy, my time, and attention? Remembering that today is the only day I can affect, but I can borrow lessons from yesterday. I can borrow aspiration from the future to the activities of today. And I think that is an important distinction to make, and hopefully you can express it in a way that reminds you. Please remember that activity, because we plan activities for tomorrow. And when we are planning activities for tomorrow, most of the time we are simply wasting time. Because if tomorrow comes and those activities don't show up, then we are wasting time. You would rather do a small activity today as preparation for tomorrow than do a big thinking today in preparation for tomorrow, if the thinking that is not affiliated or tied to an activity. If, for example, you are setting a goal for tomorrow, that goal must start with some kind of activity today. What activity can you do today that will form the foundation for you to build on tomorrow? Because remember, today you have the inspiration to set the goal, but you don't have enough inspiration to do some activity. When you come tomorrow, you may not have the inspiration. And now tomorrow, it becomes even easier for you to postpone. I'm looking for a way to express this so that you see what I mean. Just put down these three components, right? Experience or memories as one bit, activity as the second bit, and aspiration or anticipation as the other bit. These are three different things, and sometimes we get them mixed up, such that I spend today on the memories of yesterday, which I can never affect. I can reframe them, but if I only reframe them without it leading me to being able to do something differently, tying it to something that makes me feel different, then it's a waste. So we can spend today on the memories of yesterday, or we can spend today on the aspirations or anticipations of tomorrow. There are two ways. And both of these things, they make you feel busy. They make you feel like you are accomplishing, you are being deliberate, you are moving. You are not. Today, the only thing that moves you is activity. And we specifically, during this breakthrough challenge, we have said that it's not just every activity. It is high value activity. High value activity. Linking those memories that you want to reform or memories you want to leverage, for example, great memories, linking them to be a source of juice, source of insight and wisdom to influence the activities of today, but also using tomorrow's aspirations and anticipations, using the goals of tomorrow, not as a way for me to daydream today, but for me to actualize, for me to engage in high value activities. So that question on maturity, in light of my past experiences, my current circumstances, and my future aspirations, what's the best use of my energy, my time, and my attention today? Using the memories of yesterday without making them the preoccupation of today, using the future aspirations without making them the preoccupation today. so that the energy you draw from these two ends is applied in executing high value activities here, right now, today. So thank you, James. Let's hear from Ndungi. What are your top three takeaways from the last week that we've been speaking about clarity? Ladies and gentlemen, I present Ndungi Ubao.
Thanks. Good day to everyone. My top three picks from this week's practicalities are number one, from the pathway to clarity, the question of legacy.
Mm-hmm.
What story am I telling, and what story am I writing, and what story would I like to write? I think this has helped me more to identify where I am and where I need to be,
Yeah.
and essentially helped me to pivot into my purpose. And number two is the tickets to clarity. For me, it's a commitment that I've picked up, and planning to put it into practice, where I am committed to be candid and honest with myself, just being candid with myself. Yeah. And the third one is seven realities of clarity. Clarity is a journey to travel. You know, it has no predetermined endpoint, but I think we should always celebrate the wins and the milestones along the way. Yeah, and continually manifesting different levels of clarity. Yeah, thanks.
Wow. Thank you, Ndungi. I love it's just unique how each of you expresses the ideas. But what particularly strikes me is just it's the same content, but we resonate with many of these things, but we resonate slightly differently in a way that aligns with who we are and the journey that we are on. And I love, I mean, this. I'm writing the ones that you're reflecting on because I want to give myself the opportunity to think through each of them. So, for example, for James, clarity is a habit, maturity, the maturity question. And now for you, Ndungi, legacy, uh, the commitment to be honest with yourself. And the clarity is a journey to travel, and it's a journey that has no endpoint. There is no day somebody's going to show up with your trophy and say, you have now won this journey. Please get onto that platform. Let's applaud you and give you a trophy. It's a personal journey. It's a journey that has that you set your own milestones. Nobody's going to come and give you milestones. It's a journey you decide when to start. It's a journey you measure all by yourself to see how you are progressing and the direction you're moving towards. Particularly of the three that you've shared today, I think the that I call it the candid commitment. The candid commitment. I think the candid commitment is probably the other idea this week that really can move the needle for you because it takes everybody else out of the question. It takes everybody else out of the question because you no longer have the room to to even blame anybody for what has happened in your life. It takes your life and puts your life back in your own hands. I was retrieving this thing that we keep referring to. Someday I will be able to draw better graphics, but this is because most of my drawing classes used to be in the afternoon after I've had lunch. So I didn't get to learn how to draw better than this. So please bear with me for now. We keep coming back to this drawing, right? Let me actually write the word them. And them can be circumstances, it can be events, it can be the economy, it can be politicians, it can be wherever it is, right? Right? Look at that circle. When you tell a story about an event that happened in your life, most of the emotions you feel, they are not related to the shaded but the part. They are usually about this big white space. Most of the story that we tell ourselves is usually related about what happened here. Such that, for example, if I went into a business engagement and I was swindled my hard-earned cash, right? The story I tell is these guys were bad. These guys, they had an evil intent. These guys used my money and they stole my money and they ran away to another country. These guys sold the business. These guys, they went and they bought the supplies from their friends. I tell the story with the strongest emotions about what they did. And then when it comes to my part, I'm like, I may also have ignored my hunches, but they where I'm expressing emotion and frustration about the part of the story I can't do anything about. Such that it doesn't matter how small my contribution I feel it is, it doesn't matter how small my contribution it is. Ships never sink because there is a big hole on the wall. They sink because there is a crack. The crack becomes the avenue through which the water leaks into the ship. If I do not become aware and candid about what the crack is, that crack will be the entry point every single time. Now, the reality is most of the time it's not a crack. Most of the time it's a much bigger part than we give it room for. Until I own up, until I own up this part, I will always be focused on complaining about this other part. This other part I can report about. I can write stories. I can complain and criticize about this, right? I can create 1,000 stories, but this will never change. It will never be in my influence. If I have a crack in here, this will always leak into my world. But if I take care of this, if I own up, if I own up, if I am honest and say, I didn't go into this business deal with clear goals. I did not state and respect my boundaries. I did not clarify my expectations. When they let me down the first 3 times, I did not take the action, the proactive decision of withdrawing my resources. In other words, there is what they did. If I return home and close the doors, I'm the only one in this home called my life. And if there is anything that has happened in here, there must be a way that I condoned it, or I allowed it, or I welcomed it. Such that at the end of the day, the candid commitment, committing yourself to this commitment that I will tell myself the truth, even when the truth makes me uncomfortable. I will tell myself the truth, even when the truth makes me uncomfortable, until you and I make this commitment and live by it day by day. We will be victims. We will have a ton of stories to tell about how people have swindled us. We will have a ton of stories to tell about how it was unfair. And life is unfair, and there are many unfair things that happen to us. At the end of the day, my experience is not just about what happens. My experience is not just about what happens. What happens can be 99%, right? But the crack that is going to allow the water in the ocean to seep into my life and sink my ship is going to come not through this wide area, but through the part that I need to own up. I need to own up this part. I need to redefine this part. I need to figure out in which ways did I contribute in allowing this to happen. And that can be an uncomfortable question to ask, but that's why it is the candid commitment. It is a candid commitment to ask the question, am I being honest with myself? In telling this story about this relationship that broke in 2011 or 2014 or 2018, about this business idea that fell apart, about this friendship that slipped by, and I don't know, I've never really come to terms with what happened. Am I being honest in the story I am telling? Am I focusing on the white space and ignoring the crack that is going to allow water to leak into my life? I think the candid commitment, that candid question, committing that I will be honest with myself, even if being honest makes me feel bad about myself. Because, there are two bad things, right? The first bad thing is to feel bad about yourself. That's a bad thing. But you know what the really, 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 really bad thing is? In fact, the worst thing is? The worst thing is to feel bad about yourself and never do anything about it. You feel bad about yourself and never do anything about it. Instead, you keep soothing yourself by retelling the old story, by retelling the story of what they did and what you wish was different, right? Retelling the story of the white space, the story of this is what they did. Retelling this story that you will never be able to do anything about. Because then you get locked into feeling bad continually, because nothing will ever change until you face it, own it up. Then you can redefine it. Then you can even apply the lessons you've learned there in your new environment differently, so that your boundaries become important to you. Your boundaries are not only stated and shared, but they are practical and they are implemented. The the other bit about legacy. So what story am I writing? That's we will use this in the next part when we are reviewing our goals. Hopefully we will be able to get the reflections done before we run out of time, so that we can review the goals and vision. So next, let's hear from Brainy. Brainy, what are your top 3 takeaways from this week on clarity? Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brainy.
Grand Rising, Job, and Grand Rising to everyone. Um, for me, my takeaway for last week has been the tea. Tea is time. Figuring out what is the best value or use of my time, my energy, and my attention. And yesterday, I know I didn't get time to contribute, but I was looking back, talking about clarity. Clarity is like a whole big foundation for me, because it's like you cannot build a house without creating that foundation, right? And also, like, I also noticed there's nothing that you can do without having the intention. And there's some stuff I do here back in the community where I use my skills to give back to the neighborhood and get resources back in there. But when I was doing reflection yesterday, I realized I haven't been really having the intention of doing it. I don't know, like time is going, but then I ask myself, like, have I been really having an intention to do all these activities that I've been doing?
Yeah.
So I wrote down, like, from Monday, like from the following day, what should I be doing? And also about the something that stood out for me yesterday was about the seven realities of clarity. Like clarity, knowing like it's a decision, it's a priority, and having to ask myself, like, why am I, prioritizing certain goals over others? Because sometimes I might wake up in the morning, but then I'm supposed to work on a certain goal, but then I'll skip that goal and do something else. But now having clarity, I'll have to sit down and figure out why am I skipping, and what should I do? And also another thing where you said about it's a habit. Clarity is something. It's a habit that you have to build, and using 5 senses. Whenever you want to, like work on a most important goal, and having to, like ask yourself, see 5 things around yourself, or feel 4 things around myself, or hear 3 things, or smell 2 things, or taste something, like that really helped me to always try to stay in the present to work on whatever I'm doing. So I just want to say, like, I'm really incredibly grateful for for being part of this community, because I've been loving, I've been learning a lot from this, and I really just want to say, like, I really cherish this session. So thank you.
Thank you, Brainy. Yeah, Brainy is it's. I think if I have a client that needs a therapist, I would want them to listen to your voice, because they would just relax by hearing you talk. You have a calming element in your voice whenever you speak. And thank you for those reflections that you have shared. TEA. Remember, we covered that from the previous week. TEA, we only have 3 resources to work with. Our entire life, it comes down to 3 resources. TEA, time, which is fixed. We all have 24 hours. So time, that's the first resource we have. Energy, that is not fixed. You can decide to operate at a high level of energy. I could come here and present like this. And so, Granny, thank you for that presentation. Now let's hear from someone else. That could be one way to present, or I can come and speak to you in a way that you sort of feel like I'm not dozing by, right? But it has to be a decision, because we are not going to wake up every day feeling energized. We are going to have to wake up every day and decide, like make a decision that this is the day, okay, today, what level of energy am I going to live with, right? The time is fixed, energy is not fixed. Remember generators, it's called a generator because it gives us energy, but it does not have the energy. What does it do? It generates energy. And it reaches a day when we draw a line and decide that the pattern we grew up with is not the most optimum pattern, where Monday to Friday, we are energetic on Monday, by Friday evening, our energy is gone. That doesn't have to happen. If that were true, there's no reason why I would be here at 3:30 in the morning and logging on to Zoom and starting these sessions, right? That's because it's when you gain clarity and start living in alignment with your most important priorities, those by themselves give you such a high level of energy. You become excited. You stop working and start living at a slightly higher level. And you guys have no idea what amount of juice I get from just doing these presentations with you and discussing ideas I truly believe in. Energy is not fixed. Energy is just use the example of the generator. The generator does not have energy. It doesn't have energy. The generator is just a set of equipment, tools here and there and pieces and parts that have been connected, and there is fuel that goes in, and then the generator generates energy. How does it generate energy? Moving. Some parts of the generator have to start moving. If you want a little more energy in your life, it's never going to come to you until you start moving slightly differently. Do push-ups, do sit-ups, do squats. If you can jog, jog. Sit down and do active, practical, intentional breathing deeply in and out quickly. Find a way to move your body differently so that you can generate energy better. Put into your generator high quality fuel. Allow your generator enough rest, that's sleep. Give yourself a minimum of 6 hours of sleep, uninterrupted high quality sleep. Of course, sometimes our jobs don't always allow that, but optimize whatever you can. So you have time, you have raised your energy. The only place where your productivity is going to come from is your attention. Attention is where energy and time hit the road. That is where the pen meets the paper, right? Your attention, to what extent do you bring all your energy and all your time onto the task at hand? To what extent are you like a razor cutting at that one point where you need to be cutting right now? In which way are you like a magnifying glass, harnessing all your rays of light onto that one spot? And that's the funnel. I think that's what I have called before, the funnel of life. We all have this pool of energy, and we can magnify the value of this energy by being more deliberate and using the time we have to make sure that all these things, when it really matters, we funnel these things to one point, so that is the spot where we are focusing on, and making sure we are focusing on the spot that truly matters. So we only have three resources: time, that's fixed; energy, we have to learn to generate energy. I have to be able to generate more energy than I did when I was in primary school or elementary school or high school right now, because now I am mature. Now I have clear goals. Now I'm the one setting my own curriculum, my own direction, and choosing what direction I will go, right? And then applying that by controlling my attention, being able to focus on the highest value activities and executing it better than anybody else could execute it if they were given the same circumstances. The other thing that I think you just added to us one more reality of clarity, and maybe you guys can write this down. So in addition to the 7 we already have, Brainy has given us clarity is a foundation to build. Clarity is a foundation to build. In other words, the stronger, the deeper the foundation, the higher you are likely to be able to build. I don't know what's the name of, I think it's called Ufanisi, or there's a building in Nairobi where Nakumatt Prestige is. That building was constructed in the late 70s. And then in 2014, the owners of the building decided that they wanted to add more floors. Now, they built a new foundation in the part of the building that they were extending to, but in the old part of the building, they did not build a new foundation. All they did was start building new floors. And I found it's something minor, but when I read that in the papers, I couldn't help but think about it, and I thought about it, and I used it in a speech subsequently. Here is why it mattered to me. This is a building from 1970s, late 1970s, but that the people who constructed it in 1970s built such a strong and deep and stable foundation that in the 2000s, when architects come to add more floors, they did not need to go down into the foundation to strengthen it, which means that the investment that was made in the 1970s in terms of the attention of building this foundation is still paying dividends to today with regards to that building where Nakumatt Prestige is in Nairobi. In other words, the depth of the foundation became the limiting factor regarding how many floors they could add. Maybe for you and I, the level that we will be able to rise is dependent on the depth of our foundation of clarity. So clarity is a foundation, and everything that we build, the height to which we can rise, the amount of workload and attention and the size of goals, the size of dreams our life can accommodate is contingent upon the depth of foundation that we have built. So that every day as we make clarity a decision, as we make it a priority, as we make clarity a commitment, as we make it a habit, as we make clarity a discipline, I think it's building towards making clarity the foundation of the dream life we want to build, the story we want to tell, the efficiency with which we want to utilize our time, our energy, and our attention. And of course, that final question you shared, Brainy, why am I doing this really? And applying it specifically to the times when you are procrastinating. When you're procrastinating, the question is, why am I doing this really? Am I procrastinating as a way to soothe? Or am I procrastinating because I'm reprioritizing? Because sometimes that's how we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves like, no, I'm not procrastinating. I'm just reordering my priorities. At any one point, there are only 2 or 3 things that are truly high value for you to do. Right now, today, after this session, there are only 2 or 3 things that are truly high value. There's a list of 20, 30 things that are nice to do and enjoyable to do, but most of them are not high value activities. If it comes to your family, there are only 2 or 3 things which are truly high value. Are you doing those things? If you are not doing those things, the question is, why am I not doing those things really? If you have a tension in your life that you need to resolve, a relationship you need to redefine or reinstate or terminate or initiate, whether it's with a client or a friend, why are you not doing it? And if you're doing something that is taking a lot of your time, why am I doing this really? And you ask this even on goals that are important to you, because you need to continue clarifying, why am I doing this goal? Why am I pursuing this really? I woke up this morning and showed up here in the library to present to you. The question is, why am I doing this really? I am doing this to learn the content. And why do I need to learn this content? I'm doing this to learn the content so that I can apply it in my life. Why am I doing this really? I'm doing this so that I can become a better speaker by practicing every day and practicing with an audience that hopefully will learn this content and it helps them. But in the process, they are also helping me by allowing me to continue presenting and clarifying this content and learning it better and better. Why am I doing this really? I'm doing it because I believe in it. Asking yourself that question on an ongoing basis. So thank you, Brainy, for that reflection. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Elena. What are your top 3 takeaways from the last 1 week that we've spoken about clarity, Elena?
Sunrising, everyone. So, what rang home is about, particularly about the wheels of clarity. Uh, there were quite a number of different, but
Elena, can you, I don't know whether you can try, if you can move the mouthpiece or the laptop closer. We can hear you, but your voice is still distant. Just continue. We'll
better?
Slightly better, yes, continue.
Okay. So, just bringing home what Benny and the others have been saying, it's just about creating priorities about how you spend your time and how you incorporate energy into your lifestyle. There's a way that you can actively engage yourself to be active and just be pursuing a number of activities that you can build upon. That is my major takeaway from all this. And most importantly is that you are your own army. No one else can execute as best as you can. So building that habit of clarity is something that will create the foundation to whatever you want to ask about.
Thank you, Elena. I love the reflection you shared with us, and the fact that it's so succinct but so real and powerful. You are your own. I don't know whether there is any such word as clarifier, but you are your own clarifier. If I can create a word that might be added to the dictionary, but you are your own clarifier. Nobody's ever going to clarify your goals for you. Nobody. People will present their agenda to you. They will leverage their agenda on your life. Your employer, that is the one thing that they do really, really well, setting your life's agenda for you so that you end up organizing everything else in your life around your employer's priorities. Your employer will never help you clarify your goals. In fact, the less clear you are about your personal goals, the better for him, because then his agenda comes at the top of your life. It becomes the primary thing that you are engaged in doing. So the word that we've created during this session, you are your own clarifier. And please remember, I didn't come up with the word by myself. It's Elena who stimulated it. And then you see, there's a phrase that you say there, Elena, that I really like. To create clarity. Create clarity. Which makes it a tangible outcome that you can figure out whether you have created clarity in the pursuit of your goals. Have you created clarity around each of your goals? You go into the goal and you're like, okay, so what will this goal give me? Why is this important to me? Remember when we were writing the vision, one of the harder questions for us to answer was when I probably frustrated some of you by keeping asking the question why. Okay, so you want to become a better speaker, so why is that important? So that you can impact other people. Okay, you want to impact other people. Why is that important? Because at the end of the day, the seed of the why, the purpose that connects you to your highest source of power is inside. And you get there by answering the question why. So that series of questions that I frustrated some of you with asking why, it's a question of clarity. You're trying to clarify what is the highest source of power. What would give you the highest level of fulfillment? Because once you start becoming driven by what will give you the highest level of fulfillment, you start operating from a much deeper level within yourself. You become almost invincible. Circumstances no longer matter. I will promise you that I know what drives me to be doing this session. Not winter. It snowed 3 or 4 times here, but winter or snowing will not hold me back. Not having access to the library will not hold me back. Being busy at work will not hold me back. Remember, guys, we did one of these sessions and I was in the car, presenting from the car. And then from there, I let you guys continue reflecting. When you connect to the deepest why, to the true purpose that will fulfill you the most, it transforms how you what you are able to face and overcome. So thank you, Elena, for that reflection. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back to the platform Judith from East Coast. We missed you yesterday, Judith. We are reflecting on clarity. The question is, from the last 1 week, we've been speaking about clarity. What are your top 3 practical takeaways that you are committed to apply in your life? Over to you, Judith.
Okay, thank you. So for the last 1 week on clarity, I think there is one thing that came out clear to me, and that the sole responsibility is actually on me, and that I just needed to be more intentional in ensuring that I have clarity in all that I do. And yesterday I came to listen to the audio, and I think it was really powerful because like this, like the first one you said on the 7 realities of clarity was, clarity is a decision you make. So again, it rounds down to me being like that person who is responsible for that. So I can say like what I've been learning is, it is actually upon me, like the success of my goals settles down on me. It doesn't depend on anyone. And it is an understanding that is very deep because I can actually pursue it without like, it's focusing around on me. So I don't really have to blame anything else other than me. So it is a choice that you decide and pursue it. So another thing that was clear from yesterday was, clarity is a process to pursue. So the small steps that we've been making from the beginning of this is adding up together. And at the end of the day, we are now, like I can say I've already built a foundation, as Brenny has just said, and I'm actually in the process of building it. And around everything is clarity. I want to be sure this is exactly what I want and why really do I want to do this. And then T is also another important thing that I think most of the time it slips off my mind. Like, it's my time, I need to manage it well. I need to prioritize the things I need to be doing. I also need the energy. Sometimes you find yourself, you're down. So just that realization that you can generate your energy is key. And of course, attention to high energy activities, because sometimes you can spend like your time on things that are not really generating anything to you. Another realization that, okay, something that I learned was, am I being honest with myself? That's the question I started asking myself like each day. So when I'm doing something, I ask myself, am I being truthful? I really want to do this, and why? So, and of course, what emotions do I want to experience? So I'm being more alert. Like when I'm doing something, I want to experience like, what emotions do I want to experience here? So I always tend to keep myself in high spirits and not just allow myself to go down. So I've always tried, I started, let me just put it like that, to train myself to experience the emotion that I want to experience. Yeah, so that is in summary all that I have learned this week, and central to it is my personal responsibility.
Wow, Judith. Yeah, that's That is substantive. That's substantive, and it's for me. It's when I listen to anybody, give their reflection. I am hearing, the words you're speaking, but I'm always listening for where is this coming from? What is the, I call it the story under the story, right? So, for example, when you hear somebody say, we really wanted to complete the house. We really wanted to complete the house. That is the story, right? But what's the story under the story? We were so scared that we would be kicked out by our landlord. Such that is where the story is coming from. So listening to where what you shared comes from, I detect a level of determination that is almost, I can actually put a finger to it and feel it, like this, the determination is in there, that you have bought into what you are sharing. And there's nothing more powerful than that, when you are sharing something that you not only feel, but you have authentically committed to. Yes, I wrote down all the points you shared, and I will think through this. It is my sole responsibility. Clarity is a decision to make, because if I don't make the decision, then I can't manage it and pursue it. It's a process, time, energy, and attention. And the one thing that you've said, which nobody has raised, is the question of emotion. Do this exercise right now. You don't necessarily have to go back to your goals, but I want you to bring to mind your highest goal. Remember the goals we worked on? If you would accomplish, like if we could narrow down your life to just accomplishing one goal in the next 1 year, bring that goal to mind. What is the goal, right? And the question now I want you to ask yourself with regard to that goal is, what emotion would you want this goal to give you once it's accomplished? What emotion would you want this goal to give you? Would you want it to give you freedom? Would you want it to give you confidence? Would you want it to give you joy or fulfillment or gratitude? What do you want? What emotion do you want this goal to give you? That's one part. The other bit is, what level of energy do you want to experience while pursuing this goal? Remember, energy at the end of the day is an emotion. So what emotion do you want the goal to give you? What level of energy do you want to experience while pursuing that goal? And then number three, what impact do you want to accomplish by achieving that goal? Those three elements. I believe that you can set goals within your goals, and the goals you set within your goals are the experiential goals. And the experiential goal is going to have those three ingredients. It becomes an experience because there is something you feel. In other words, what the emotion is. And what you feel is dependent on what level of energy you will be at. What makes it necessary on a consistent basis for you to make sure that you are feeling what you are set out to feel, to start, because you don't need money to feel what you would like to feel when the goal is accomplished. You don't need to be at the finish point for you to experience what you need to feel with this goal. The more you become attuned to feeling the emotion that will be associated with this goal, the more consistent you become, because then you create a neural association in your mind about this goal, that this goal and freedom, they are one thing. You can start experiencing freedom today. It is free. You don't need permission. You don't need a license. You don't need a passport. You don't need an air ticket to experience freedom. You can arrive at the outcome today in terms of, this is the emotion that I want to experience. This is the level of energy I want to live at. You can experience that today. Because once you start experiencing that, then you essentially have started becoming what your goal is going to make you. If I want to become, this is something that I will not do, but I want to become a sprinter, and it's 100 meters, and I want to become as fast as Usain Bolt, I will start practicing, right? But I can already start experiencing the joy that I will experience eventually, because I may not complete this goal, but there's something I can do. I can experience the outcome even before the outcome arrives. so that then when these two things are put together, I am becoming better. I'm becoming better by being able to better control my emotions, by better control my level of energy, by being more intentional about the impact I am having. So especially after we are done with this session today, I want you to go back to your goal and truly set clear intention regarding what emotion, and you can apply this to all the other goals. What emotion do you want to experience as a result of accomplishing this goal, right? What emotion, what level of energy do you want to live as a result of accomplishing this goal? What kind of impact do you want to have? Now, emotion, energy, and the anticipation of impact, those are free. All you're trying to do is to bring them from where they are into this moment so that they are a resource. Remember, we said you bring your memories from the past, the lessons you learned here, you bring the anticipation. These are things to anticipate and you can experience them now. So that if I bring that high energy or freedom or confidence to this moment, it means I'm writing this book, but when I'm writing this paragraph today, I will write it associated with that emotion because the emotion is free. I can experience it anytime without requiring anybody to give me permission. I don't need the goal to be fulfilled for me to experience what the goal is supposed to give me. I can, if the goal is meant to give me joy, I can experience that joy today, free of charge. Thank you, Judith, for that reflection, which has inspired more reflection, hopefully in everyone that is on this call. Wanjiru, the last 1 week, we've been speaking about clarity. What are your top 3 takeaways?
Thank you very much. My biggest takeaway was I decided that it was time for me to change my story. I decided I have to put to an end the first edition of my life and start on another new edition of my life. So I've shelved that first edition, stay in the shelf there. I will come back for references. It's time to write a new story for myself. And one of the biggest takeout, or rather I took that will help me is being honest with myself, like facing the inner me, understanding myself better, and being like upholding the integrity. And from that, I have learned to be consistent. For the past 1 week, I've learned to be consistent and to improve on my self-discipline in terms of the goals and the actions that I'm taking to meet my goals. And about clarity, I found it, or rather, I was comparing it to driving during a storm. When you don't have clarity, it's like you're driving during a storm. That means that yes, you know where you're going, you know the road you're taking, but you cannot see well. And therefore, might take you longer to get there. You will face many challenges. You will use more energy. You will lose your way as you go by. You will get stuck. But when you have the clarity, when you have clarified everything, it's like you now driving during a calm weather. When it's sunny, you can see well, and therefore you get to your destination faster. And so I have learned to let go of the excuses, the baggages that I had in the past, and to prioritize my goals. And also about whatever you've talked about in that nini that you said about the emotion. I'm learning to feel and the emotions at the final, or rather the end emotions of how I feel at the end of it all. I'm learning to experience it today. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. My goodness. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. I will listen to this whole recording, and I think it's going to just be even more beautiful when I hear all your voices and what you shared. Some of the metaphors you've used in there, Wanjiru, are remarkable. Oh, I love it. I love it. Everybody, when are you, please put a date down when you will shelve the first edition and start writing the new edition. And don't blame me, blame Wanjiru, because that is just a powerful metaphor. The first decision has been shelved. I liked when you said that you will go back to it for references. I love it. I love what you've shared. Yeah, driving to a future without clarity is like driving in a storm. You can have the good intentions. You can be a good guy or a good girl or a good lady or good man, right? But if you don't have clarity, you will end up in the ditch. At the end of the day, and I believe even when people, for example, start asking themselves questions like, oh, so and so is such a very religious person, but they are not making a headway in life. At the end of the day, it is, do they have clear goals? And do they know where they are going? Are they driving in a storm, but they are accelerating in the storm instead of slowing down fast to clean their windshield? Instead, they are, accelerating, and they end up in a ditch faster. They lose their way quicker, and they get lost even more. This is fantastic, Wanjiru. I won't even add anything else beyond that. And everybody, please, this is one lesson to, this is one session to come back and listen to again, so that you can hear what you said. Because most of you, you have no idea what you said. When you hear the recording and hear your voice and hear what you've been saying, then you will be living through what I've been living through every day. In the evening, whenever I replay back the day's recording, some days I end up playing like 2 or 3 while I'm doing chores in the house. I hear myself saying things I wasn't even aware that I had said those things or how I expressed them. So please remember to come back and listen to this presentation. So today we are joined by Diba and Tobias, both of who are coming, being with us for the first time. And now, because you guys have listened into the reflections of the other people, I'm just going to ask you to share with us like any highlights that have stood out for you from today, starting off with Diba. Diba, what any takeaways that have stood out for you today?
Yes, thank you, Job. Thank you, everyone, for having me on this very interesting discussion. Job, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Hello, can you?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I've been meaning to join. Really, I've been meaning to join these sessions for some time now. I'm saddened to learn that I've missed 38 days of this interesting journey. One of the commitments I'm going to make to myself today is to pick this up. I understand the videos and audios for most of these sessions are available. So I'm going to make a commitment to myself to go through this journey, even if I have to do it alone. So I'm planning to really go back and pick up, start this journey from day one by going through the audios and videos. Because really from this discussion, I'm really impressed with the content and the quality of this discussion. The reflections are really powerful. Clarity in visions and goals, and the discipline to apply yourself to high quality activities to ensure that you stay on track and you achieve your goals and vision within the set timelines. That really speaks to me. That's one thing I've been on this journey, this kind of journey on and off, kind of similar to the graph that you showed, where you have first peak, and then you see a plateau, and then you see a second peak, which is higher than the first peak. I feel like that's a journey I've been through for the past few years, whereby I see myself setting a number of goals, starting the journey, and then see myself basically backsliding, and then feeling bad about that, and then beginning to pick up on those goals again. So really these reflections and the general discussion really spoke to me, and I'm really glad I joined this session today. So thank you so much. Thank you for having me again. And hopefully I'll be able to join the future, all the subsequent sessions. I'm also one thing I'll be consulting with Job, maybe bilaterally will be whether it makes sense for me to do the audios, the previous sessions first and try to see if I can catch up, or try to do be part of this discussion for the remaining sessions, and also do the other previous sessions concurrently. So I'll be consulting Job on that bilaterally.
Yeah.
But by and large, thank you so much, and really congratulations to everyone for the journey you have decided to embark on, and for the wonderful and high quality discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diba. Thank you. And I wouldn't have said it any better, that it's for everyone on this call. We have been on this content for almost 40 days now. So it can begin to feel like, oh, this is how we speak here. But what you guys end up reflecting, like the content we end up sharing here, some of it, I listen to it and I'm like, this, I couldn't have been in a better place today. I couldn't be doing anything better at this time. I couldn't be doing, I hope I'm saying it with enough conviction so that you know that that is exactly how I mean it. I couldn't be doing anything better at this time. I hope that's true also for you, because the community we are creating and the ideas are birthing, we have created a super conscious mind that involves all of us, such that when an idea is thrown over here, it gets magnified, and hopefully the impact of those ideas becomes even greater as we implement them. Diba, welcome to the challenge. Here is my recommendation. Yes, create time to start, plugging into what we've already discussed. But the biggest bit you are plugging into is the concurrency of attention that we are bringing together. So I would recommend with you just starting off by joining the live sessions and then finding time to watch one of the other sessions one by one as you can. You have 37 sessions to watch. Those are 37 hours. I would recommend just focusing on join here, join today, the ideas you've picked today, start applying today, write down your goals. You look back, some of the sessions were on specific tasks, but write down the goals you have. Just start where you are. We have enough time. We'll go through the first peak, we'll go the second peak, which might be happening maybe sometime this month, and then there will be the final peak. We are breaking through by sticking with it long enough that we get beyond the resistance. And now I'm going to bring to the platform Mr. Tobias. Welcome to the Breakthrough Challenge. By the time you've been with us, what have you picked today?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you for all this. And thank you for this session. For that small time I've been here, I've seen that I'm like rolling with the eagles. Yeah, you've used big imaginations and all that. And I've seen, there's one thing I had, and ilinishika sana, it's about consistency. And one thing imekuwa ikinisumbua is consistency in my life. So when I saw this in the Meetup platform, I'm like, wait, 90 days challenge. I need to do that, because doing it on your own is not easy. It's not easy waking up every morning. Like I have a goal to wake up every morning at 4 and meditate and do all that. After 1 week, you feel like you're going to give up on yourself. So I was so encouraged when I saw there's a group of people that I can join, and they can help me to be better than what I am. So thank you, and I'm looking forward for all the sessions.
Yeah, Tobias, welcome to the challenge. We are here. We will keep showing up. Like what Diba, you said something that I liked, that you will do it even if you have to do it alone, and that's the kind of commitment we bring to this table. we come to the challenge committed that even if this platform disappeared, that we are building sufficient motivation, sufficient commitment that even if we had to do it alone, we will do it alone. I remember about 85 people had registered for the challenge. And so I showed up here on 1st of October, expecting that there will be maybe 15, 20 or 30 people showing up. One person logged on for about a minute or two and then disappeared. But what did I do? I still presented. I still presented the whole session, that first day. And you will see it. And on that day, my camera for some reason did not plug in. So I used the laptop's camera, which is not as good, but I still did it. And that's the commitment. My challenge to you, the commitment you have to make is you will do it even if you have to do it alone. We have already gotten to almost, I probably underestimated how much time it would take for us to reflect, but I'm so happy about the quality, the content that we've reflected on. Later on, everyone, please, after I upload the video up, make sure you go back and listen, especially to the part that you contributed, so that you hear what you said. We are not going to do any other exercises beyond this point because we've already exhausted more than an hour. My recommendations for you is listen to this whole recording again. When you can, is when you're doing other activities, put it in the background because you have the emotional memory of what the session is like. But now hear this content over and over. This is one to listen to even more times than once in subsequent days. Number two, review your vision, review your goals, review your core values, and just today make sure that you can actually say your core values, the ones that you want to live by, like say them out loud. And remember to go back to the principles you had listed. Like, what are your personal principles? Go back to those principles and see from what you've covered in this week on clarity, whether any principles come up that you can add. Because now we are continuing to do that so that when we will come to the session of doing the personal mission statement, it will be very easy because we will already have the content we need, the ideas we need to craft a personal statement that is very, very personal. That will be it from me today. Thank you for joining this session of the Breakthrough Challenge. My name is Dr. Job Mogire from the House of Mastery, and I encourage you to continue living with passion, continue showing up, because every day is a day to show up and make it count, make it matter. And I look forward to see you tomorrow in the next session. We are here every day for the remaining part of the 90 days challenge.